Wow, these views are unreal. We just got to Chamonix, one of the most famous alpine mountain towns in Europe and the world, where I'll be training for the Red Rocks Hike and Fly race at the end of the month. And of course, with hike and fly, you want to get as much practice climbing mountains, as much vertical elevation gain hiking as possible, and as much flying as possible. So here in Chamonix is one of the best places in the world to do that, because right in town you can access the base of all these huge mountains where you can either fly from the top or just take the gondola with the lift back down into the valley if the conditions aren't good for flying. And this is an absolutely beautiful day to get started. Where, of course, with the hike and fly race, you want to get as much practice carrying your paraglider up steep mountains as far as you can and flying as much as you can. And here in Chamonix is the absolutely perfect place to do that. So what's a hike and fly paragliding race? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. You hike with your paraglider on your back up to the top of a mountain where you can then launch, set up your paraglider and go fly as far as you can, with the goal to be the first person to the end. Now the course for the Red Rocks is a 4-day staged route, which means that each day is separate. There's a start point and an end point at the end of each day, and then we go back to wherever we're sleeping for the night and we start from a new point the next day. And each day the route is roughly between 80 kilometers and about 150 kilometers. You can run the whole way if you want, you can fly the whole way if you can, and ideally it's a mix of the two, but you're much faster in the air than you are on the ground, so flying is ideal. If you had an ultra marathon runner and an average paraglider competing against each other, where the ultra marathon runner was just running, the paraglider would win every time, assuming it's flyable. So you definitely can't rule out flying, but usually we can't fly the entire course unless it's a really good day of a lot of thermic lift, or if you're a really good pilot. One of the tough things for training for a hike and fly race is that there's usually only a fraction of the days each week that are flyable. Let's say 30 to 70%, depending on where you are in the world. But for training for a race, you want to get as much vertical elevation gain hiking in as possible with your gear on your back, just like you were doing race day. But hiking down a mountain, unfortunately, doesn't really give you any extra cardio benefit. In fitness terms, it's a waste of time, even though yes, it's beautiful and enjoyable, but hiking up the mountain is really where fitness gains come in. And that's why Chamonix is such a perfect place to practice, because if it's flyable, obviously you fly down, but if it's not flyable, instead of hiking down the mountain, you can take the gondola or the tram or the train sometimes down from pretty much anywhere that you happen to be, and then either do another lap and hike back up, or call it for the day and get some work done. So it makes you a lot more efficient in my training schedule, where I need to balance not just training, but also getting some work done, and of course having fun and flying as much as possible while I'm here. Today is day 1 of training. We are hiking up the Gravant side of the mountain. The famous climbing spot is right above us in the clouds, and the paragliding launch is right up there at the top of that cable car. We are about 700 of the 1,000 meters it takes to go from the valley floor up to the top for what we call a vertical kilometer. So we're almost there. And it was a pretty good flying day, but there's this weather moving in right here. We slept in a little bit today because of the time difference. and we're a bit jet lagged, so I may have missed our flying window. But no worries if I can't fly. We can just take the tram down.